Ah, would you look at that beautiful view? Hello, all you beautiful people out there. What is going on? This is your friend Britik coming at you fast with the next installment in the Paragon Ultimate Beginner's Guide. And today we are going to be taking a tour of the map. We're going to be explaining everything about the map. We're going to be explaining the jungle, covering that in a bit more detail, talking about map awareness, and once again, the importance in rotations. So, I am being your live tour guide today through the wonderful arena that is Monolith. This is the dawn side, represented by the light structures, by the white and the light blue. And that is the dusk side, represented by the dark blue and the dark gray, almost black tone. So immediately you can see the comparison between this field from a bird's eye view to the map in the top right corner. We're going to be practicing this vision. I like to call it eagle vision. We're going to be practicing this kind of vision and just getting used to the map layout for you newer players, because the quicker you get used to it, the more you're able to envision this kind of big grand scale, the easier it will be for you to understand it. So I'm going to have this gameplay running. I just went out and recorded some gameplay. There I am as Greystone running down like a little ant. I recorded some solo bot gameplay as Greystone because I wanted to show all the lanes in a very organic, in a very normal state. Oh, look, there's a bird flying by. You see that? There's a bird. All right, we're getting distracted. Anyway, so you have your tier 1 towers, your tier 2 towers, your inhibitor, and then your core right here in the middle, and same thing on the other side over there. You already have some stuff going down here in the middle, and you have the stuff going down right. You have the minions running down all the lanes, and this is basically the whole map. You see Rampage over here in his jungle doing his rounds. You see Chimera. You should be seeing Chimera around here in this part, in this jungle. Yep, there he is fighting. So this is the jungle. This is the river. So let's talk about the river as it connects the lanes, since in the previous video I talked a little bit about the lanes. So this is the solo lane. This is pretty much like the backdoor lane, quote unquote. It's the least focused lane from time to time, and it can sometimes be a little too less focused until it's too late. So this is really good for split pushing. This is good for catching the enemy off guard when the rest of the team and the enemy team are fighting somewhere else on the map. You can push this lane for a nice little back door. And then the river combines all three of these lanes. So when you run across the river, it's nice, it's beautiful, it's peaceful here. And there are these camps right here. These are called the river buffs. So right now, I'm going to point out where we are on the map. We are right here on the map. Right here. We went from the solo lane down to the river buff. And these river buffs spawn every odd minute, starting with the 3rd minute in the game. So at 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 9 minutes, 11 minutes, you get the point, they spawn. This is the mid lane. So the mid lane is like the main lane. It's the shortest way from your core to the enemy core. Therefore, destroying towers here will provide the most mobility for your team. It will open up the most of the map. Your team, when destroying this tier 1 tower, can more easily rotate between the left side of the map and the right side of the map, between the solo lane side and the dual lane side. Now, look at these cool little statues right here. Look at that fang tooth. So now there's another river buff on this side as well. As you notice, now we are here on the map. So there's a river buff on both sides, and there are 4 different types of buffs that spawn here. You have the blue buff right here, actually, great timing. It's called the Swiftness Orb, and it gives you increased movement speed for 25 seconds. You have a yellow buff called the Echo Orb that gives you damage over time on basic attacks for 40 seconds and applies 60% of the basic damage. You have the red buff right here, or called the Amplification Orb, and it gives you 10% bonus damage from abilities for 40 seconds. And then there's also a purple buff that makes you invisible for 40 seconds or until you attack. Now, no, you can prepare attacks like Rampage's Rocks or Countess's ult within the invisibility without breaking it. So as we follow the river, there's a few more important stuff in the jungle that we'll cover later, but let's finish talking about the lanes. This is the dual lane right here. As you see, there are 2 people on both teams in this lane, aka the dual lane. This is pretty much the most confronted lane because carries have very poor scaling early on in the game, and they need a lot of time to farm up and become really strong. So it becomes the mission of the other team a lot of the times to try and shut down this carry as early as possible. That's why they usually have a support helping them and protecting them, making sure they're getting that farm effectively and safely. You have a lot of team fights usually in this area, and that's because of one of the biggest objectives in the game, Fangtooth. So this is the Fangtooth pit. Right now we are right here. See, we just came from this side where Sparrow and Muriel were, and now we're right here watching Fangtooth as it's about to spawn. Fangtooth is this really big dinosaur right here that is really hard to kill on your own, especially early on. This is a team objective. You usually want to take this objective with as many people as possible, as quickly as possible, because it's highly contested. Even if you are a hero that can solo this, such as Chimera, it will take you a very, very long time. He is so gross. Look at that mouth, man. He's got to clean up that drool. It is a very difficult objective, and you need your whole team to take him, because once you do, your entire team will get a bonus. The first time you kill him, you will get 1,000 gold, and you will get 4 power permanently. Second time you kill him, you will get another 4 power and an increase in movement speed when you're out of combat. Third time you kill him, you get more power and then an increased damage bonus to minions. So, aka everything that's not an enemy hero. And well, the fourth time and after that, when you kill Fangtooth, you will get bonus 8 power permanently. So it stacks up pretty quickly. I mean, once you get 3 Fangtooths on the enemy team, you've pretty much won the game at that point. It's super duper important. Now, going back to buffs, we have this buff right here, which is the health regen buff, which for 15 seconds gives you increased health regen in the solo lane. Very useful for fighting. You see me grab that buff a couple times when I've been recording my previous gameplays and my previous videos. And then on the other side, where we are right here, you have gold buff, where when you kill it, you gain 300 gold. So I just finished killing Steel over there, the bot Steel. These are veteran bots. I did up the ante a little bit. Now let's go ahead and fly up into the jungle and talk about the jungle and the jungle buffs. So the jungle consists of these 4 camps going around in a circle, this side anyways. So this is the safe side of the jungle because this is where the most farm for the jungler is, and it's also pretty safely tucked away between the mid lane and the solo lane. We are right here currently. The other jungler is on the other side right here in their safe side jungle because it has the most farm. And it also has green buff, which is a very important buff to grant. Now, green buff, when it spawns at a minute 20 seconds. This buff is very useful because it gives you a shield that lasts for 60 seconds, and it bounces damage off of it. So, when minions or the enemy team, enemy heroes, bounce their attacks off of you, they will deal a little bit of damage to themselves, and when the shield runs out, it will actually blow up. Now, the other buff is this big dude. He looks real mean. Green buff looks exactly like him. It's just green. Same concept. He spawns at a minute 20. But this buff is a bit different. When you get it, you grant vision 3,000 units. That's a lot. Okay, 3,000 units. I'm currently in the other jungle right now. Here's Rampage. 3,000 units, meaning you can see enemies through wall, and you will ping them on your map when you see them through the wall. If we're going back to the other side of the jungle, this is where the black buff spawns on this side, on the Dawn side. And another bonus besides the vision is that it applies a slow on your basic hits. Now, both buffs take 3 minutes to respawn after you've killed it. The reason I say after you killed it is because that's different from the river buffs. The river buffs will change colors every odd minute, whether or not you have collected it. So make sure you are on top of your river buff rotations every odd minute. Be prepared, take that river buff, and you'll be good to go. It's important to share the river buff between the mid laner and the jungler because river buffs, besides their effects that I mentioned, also give you a good bit, a very good bit, of mana regeneration for a couple of seconds, which is very important for casters in the mid lane that use a lot of mana for their abilities. So usually, the jungler wants to go ahead and take the side that is there on the safe side, the river buff that's on the safe side, and the mid lane wants to try and use the long range in their abilities to kind of steal the river buffs on this side, or vice versa. It's up to you, but make sure you're on top of those rotations. A lot of new players forget about those things, and they help a lot because those buffs stack up. So now that we talked about the general layout, let's just go over it again. Here is green buff. We missed it earlier. Now it's here. This is what it looks like. He's all nice and neon and beautiful, and it's got all the cracks in the world. Giggity. So we're going to keep on talking about the jungle here. Like I said, this is the safe side. This has the most farm, and it has the green camp in the middle. This is very nice. From here, you usually want to gank middle. It is the jungler's responsibility to gank lanes, help support his teammates in the different lanes, or hers, 2018, or whatever pronouns you use. I don't care. You know what I mean. So when the jungler ganks, he's supposed to help his team. He's supposed to come from behind the enemy and kind of flank them and deal a lot of damage very quickly and try and support the team as much as possible. He can gank mid lane, and usually he ganks dual lane as well. Especially since this dual lane is on the similar side to where black buff is. And like I said, black buff gives you that movement slow stack on the enemy team. So when you're hitting them with your basic attacks, they will slow down, and it'll make it easier for you and your teammates to catch up to the enemy. So the jungle seems a bit confusing, but it really isn't. Once you get used to it, it doesn't become hard to navigate it. It's actually quite simple when you really think about it. And now we got to talk about one more team objective, and that's this big loaf. That's Orb Prime. So Orb Prime is this big guy, this big dude, and he's really, really important. He spawns at the 10-minute mark, and he respawns every 7 minutes when you kill him. When you kill him, your entire team gets a gold bonus. I believe it's 1,200 or 1,000. I don't remember the exact number, but it's a lot of gold. So you want to kill him for that. And also, when you kill him, more importantly, you gain a lot of effects. So the buff gets applied to all of your teammates that are alive at that moment in time. When you die, you lose the buff. And the buff lasts, I believe, 120 seconds, if they have not changed it yet. I could be a bit wrong on this. There is a Paragon wiki that you can also look at the top left when you get the buff and look at the timer and you see how long it lasts. It's either 90 seconds or 120 seconds. I forget. Maybe even a bit more. But it gives you bonus damage. So it gives you a 20% damage bonus, which is a lot, especially at the later stages of the game when you've already built up so much power. Take another 20% and add on to that, and that's super duper important. What it also does is it grants you health regen and mana regen when you're out of combat. So once you exit a team fight and you go on to farm, you can basically get all your health and mana back without having to go back to the well, without having to recall. This is very important because this helps you push lanes, and that is the whole point of Orb Prime. Once you get Orb Prime, make sure you push the lanes and get the towers and get the inhibitors. And that's super important. That's why rotations exist. That's why you want a team fight as we watch Chimera solo Fangtooth. You guys are just going to see how long it takes. It just takes forever. Alright, it does take forever. So, you want to rotate and team fight because once you get those kills, you want to focus on these objectives. You want to focus on getting Fangtooth. You want to focus on getting Orb Prime. You want to focus on getting towers. Once you get kills, don't just run around and keep farming. Get those kills, push those towers, and cave everything in on the other side. Push your way all the way over to the towers. Now, you heard that yell because Chimera just finished confirming Fangtooth, and we got that bonus. So when you hear that yell, it'll also be a pop-up on the HUD saying Fangtooth confirmed and all that, and you will know when you got the buff. The HUD is very friendly, by the way, guys. The HUD is very, very nice. All right? It will tell you the timers. It will tell you the buffs when you acquire them. It will show you on the map. You see this circle indicating that this is where Fangtooth is, and there is a thin line building around the circle. That is basically the timer. Same thing happens with any other buff. Just like right here, the black buff on the other side that was recently taken on the mini-map. Learn how to read your mini-map. On the mini-map, there's a circle right here, the black circle, or the dark gray circle, and there's a little line going around the circle. Up your resolution on the video if you haven't already. If you're to the video early, just wait a little bit and the 1080p resolution will come through. And those are all the buffs. Again, let me show you the light green buff right here, the regen buff. Same concept every odd minute. All of these little bugs that you see here floating around, they all spawn on the odd minute and respawn every odd minute, regardless of whether or not they were picked up in the first place. So I think that pretty much covers everything that I wanted to talk about. Map awareness, learning how to read the map, understanding all of these abilities, all of these things will help you gank like Richter and Chimera did together in killing that Sparrow. It will help you understand and really be able to read the map when the buffs are spawning, when the minion waves are going up. Again, as a reminder, the orange dots are your minions here on our team. The blue dots are the other minions. When you're actually in game, hold on, let me move out of here. There's a lot of noise going on here, exploding these towers. In game, your minion waves will be your color, so they will be your blue, and they'll be pushing up against the enemy teams, which will be orange. In this case, we are flipped because this is a neutral kind of theater lobby, but you'll kind of get the hint. You'll understand as you play the game. After 2 games, you'll have a good grasp of what that means, of how the minions look on the map. And yeah, it's important to read the map, like I was saying, because rotating for team fights, getting those kills, you want to be able to secure kills so you can push objectives, so you can be there in time for Fang 2, so you can be there in time for Prime, and all of the above. So, this is a big thing that people overlook. Don't be afraid to leave your lane, okay? Don't be afraid to leave your lane. I left my lane over there. I came to the mid lane, and I got a kill because of it. Work with your teammates. Fight with your team. Push objectives. Use the buff timers. Get used to them. Every odd minute, especially if you're a jungler, you should already be rotated at the river buff wells. Every time Fang 2 spawns, you should be able and you should be ready to rotate and take that as soon as possible, because these do become highly contested objectives. So the sooner you get better at rotating to these objectives, the better the advantage you will have over your opponent. So I know this video was a bit longer than the other ones, but I'd still really appreciate it if you guys dropped that like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you haven't already. Also, by the way, I forgot to mention this in the very beginning, but I will mention this in the beginning of the video as well. My buddy Sylphin, he's another YouTube content creator like I am. He actually made a more professional step-by-step tutorial that basically would exist in this game if it had a better tutorial like the one that he has. It's way more boring than mine, but it is definitely very, very helpful for newcomers. You guys should go ahead and check that out, and I'll actually put a link in the description below. So there we go. We fought Fangtooth as a team there. Perfect example. Now we have our bonus buffs, and we're ready to continue with this game and win. That's about it, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, like I said, drop a like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell if you haven't already. And as always, make sure you all have a wonderful day.